What's good, party people? This is Voodoo in the Woods, where we break down all things fight, especially like during the week of the fight, because that makes sense. But he is former U of MMA champion Voodoo Maximus Pius Lobo, and we have sitting in center field the one and only co-creator of said promotion, University of MMA. He's the one and only
What up,
Jay
guys?
Tan. What's
Hello.
good?
Yo, thank you for having me. This is fun. I haven't had a chance to talk fights in a long time, so this is a nice flashback here.
So just to get everybody up, what has Jay Tan been doing? Obviously, we've been away from the California scene for a little bit, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I mean, what's been up?
Trying to think what's the short version of it. I'm in Vegas now.
Okay.
So Turi and I ran our last U of MMA show in November 2016. The short version is I never intended on staying in LA. I ended up there getting into film school accidentally at USC, and even if it's accidental, you don't say no to that opportunity. So, I ended up there in '98, and it took me 18 years to finally go, okay, I've had enough. And I moved up to Seattle for personal reasons. I had family up there and wanted to live closer to them. And there was a time, like at that time, Turi and I were really thinking, we were trying to determine, re-gauge, how much we keep the show going or not. Now, we have done shows from afar, where somebody lives out of state. As you know, I mean, especially in 2020, you realize how much things can be done remotely, right? By email, by text message, whatever. And
broadcasting? What? You don't say.
Right? Yeah, here we are. So, we were thinking about keeping the show going, but it was the right moment. The two of us, our passion was still there for the show and the fighters, but there was also the right time to go out. It was the right time to go out. We went out on top, and you never say never. That opportunity has not just the right time hasn't come, to bring it back. And I don't want to plant seeds or anything, but I also don't want to not plant seeds. So, it's been a nice change. When I discovered MMA, I was burnt out on working in film. But walking away from that industry, I was able to rediscover my love for film. And by the same token, Pius and I were just talking about this, moments ago. Life works in cycles, and there is. It's great to be passionate about something and live and die for something. God bless those people that can do that. I'm not one of those people. And, there were other things in my life that I wanted to catch up on away from the sport. And this sport I think it's anything in entertainment. Any form of entertainment that you're trying to be a part of can eat you up, and it can take over your life. So, there was a time I needed balance, frankly. And one of the great things about working with Turi is that he and I very often have kind of gone at the same pace. I think we're cut from the same cloth in terms of our what we believe in, our credos, how to do business, how to operate, as well as our passions. And it was the right time that both of us kind of said, yeah, you know what, let's put it on hold for a little bit and just see what happens. Lo and behold, I have ended up here about a year ago in Vegas, and very happy for it.
I think it's great.
Version, by the way, I'm sorry.
No, that's fucking tremendous, man. But I mean, you and Turi Altavia are long. Even though logistically, you might be far, but you're a large part of our MMA community. So, I mean, we thank you. And again, I mean, we're honored to have you here because, again, you kind of kickstarted, I mean, almost a la Motley Crue in terms of Voodoo's heart and opening it up to the world of MMA. You were essentially the Nikki Sixx.
That's a weird analogy. I have no idea. I know who you're talking about. I'm trying to put connect the dots. I'm not quite sure. But for that matter, we might as well give a shout out to Big John McCarthy, who called me
That's
up.
right.
Right? Yeah. Shout out to BJ Muda.
Oh yeah.
I John and Turi had a relationship going farther back when Turi was at Pride, and we were starting to do some stuff with John with the UFMMA. So we really wanted him to ref some of our shows. Actually, I think he did. Almost starting from the very beginning. I think because of that relationship with Turi, we had a lot of credit with Turi's name on the bill in terms of the people that were willing to get involved. Big John being one of them. And by that point, so jump ahead a couple of years. John and I had a pretty good relationship, and uh, he hits me out of the blue and says, "I got this guy. I can barely say his name, but I got this guy, and I want you to give him a shot." And I barely could pronounce his name either. We had to work on it, but he said, "Yeah, he's got some wrestling, not much else, but he's got something there." Maybe I'm paraphrasing, and I'm not trying to throw John under the bus, but I vaguely remember the moment of the phone call. And so, we booked this kid named Highest Ainabo. I know
He did
whatever
a logo, but yeah.
Highest Junior. And lo and behold, who the hell was this kid? And the rest is history. Available on YouTube at the U of MMA channel for free, I might add.
Oh yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, and he didn't even know. I don't think John knew anything about that. He probably knew something about your personality in the gym, but I don't think he knew that it was going to come out like that. I don't know. What was that like? Talk about that. Working under John under those years.
Well, usually, I'm usually working with Coach Ryan or Majid Reyes, and every now and then, John is always busy, but every now and then he'll make his way in the gym, and he walks around and he checks out what everyone is doing, and if he sees something that you can improve upon, he'll stop, he'll come to you, he'll explain himself, and he'll stick around to make sure that what he's telling you, you're actually understanding, and then he'll go on his way. That's usually the relationship that we had. He will always make time for anyone who needs help. That's the kind of guy Big John was, or he is actually.
That's John to a T, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and I mean, this is something that he's.
We got off on a tangent right there.
No, I fucking love it, and this is something that I mean, obviously permeates to current day MMA because he is obviously the post fight interviewer for Bellator MMA, right? I mean, so he's giving back, long after his personal gym closed and long after. I mean, he essentially wrote the book that was to become the United MMA rules, something of that instance. See, I can say Pius's name like nothing because I am a member of the Voodoo Maximus foreign name pronunciation classes by Voodoo, which you can get at $99.99 or four easy payments of $499.99. But you must act now. Yes, but that's another story for another day. But I mean, one of the things that you're here for, right, is I mean, we're talking fights. We've got this crazy UFC fight night, right? UFC Vegas. I don't know. I'm good with names and words, but not with numbers. So we're just gonna call this one UFC Fight Night. Felder, Paul Felder. Yeah, he wasn't originally on the bill, but his opponent actually right when we did the last Voodoo in the Woods on Sunday, Muslim unfortunately had to pull out, and on 5 days' notice, the Irish Dragon, not to be confused with one Brian Danielson and the American Dragon, but Paul Felder filled in on 5 days' notice to save the card and face former UFC World Champion, one RDA, Rafael Dos Anjos. So, guys, what do you think about this fucking card?
I'll be honest. In the past, I should preface and kind of set myself up here, or gauge myself. I haven't followed the fight world nearly as much in the past 4 years as when I was in it. Still love it, still have a passion for it, but haven't kept up with it. So a lot of these names are pretty new to me. I've seen them fight, but I haven't necessarily. I don't necessarily remember them or have a good gauge, but I recognize a lot of the names. Seems like it's got a lot of potential for a good entertaining fight. Not a lot of marquee fights, but I do like Felder and Dos Anjos. I think that's going to surprise a lot of people with this action.
Yeah. So, and it's weird, right? Because I mean, especially looking at the kind of COVID era of UFC, right? And we've gotten a lot of it, right? I mean, there was nothing until, we'll say, July, and they started running shows in Florida, now at Apex and Fight Island, respectively. But this one is kind of a lull, right? This one, you can't have so many fights and have names on every fight card. Both, I mean, we've literally had a fight every weekend just in the UFC,
Yeah.
every Saturday night since July. Like, so something's gonna fall off. Not to say the quality of fights are gonna fall off, but I mean, if you're a casual, you may not know the names, but not to say that we won't get amazing fights or moments that you can post on the social medias after. I mean, if you're a ass selfie Instagram model and you want to impress your crew that likes the UFC fight things, I mean, you can post that in, and you might get a couple more thousand followers if your ass didn't do that enough for you. But that's another story for another day.
Yes. And prior to COVID, we didn't get this many main events week to week to week to week. We didn't get this before. It was usually every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. We'll get a but I like what's going on. I don't want to thank COVID, but thank COVID. Now we get to see
Silver lining.
right. Now we get to see all these developmental fights. All these guys that we would normally never get to see, we're getting to see them. I mean, just yesterday, or what day was that? We were watching on ESPN Plus. What's that, Contender Series? All these guys are getting. They're all getting a contract, and immediately we're seeing them in these fight nights. And this is exactly what we're looking for. We're seeing all these guys, and they're fighting right away. This is what I like. And then whoever's going to rise to the top, they're going to rise to the top, and then we'll follow those guys. Whoever's going to fall off, will fall off and go wherever they need to go and come back later. And if they don't come back, this is how the cookie crumbles. And I'm loving what I'm seeing, man. Even though most of these guys who we're watching, we don't know their names, we don't know, where they come from, but they will get a chance to show us who they are and what they bring into the table.
Yo, Voodoo sounds like he's doing a post-fight interview, even when he's just talking, having a conversation about fights. Calm down, Jack. Damn.
That's why I sit here and fucking Meijin the fuck out of it and then let him go on a tangent. I oftentimes feel like I'm kimchi to his Kamala. Not the fact that they're African or anything, but I'm just saying.
The show ain't for 2 days, and we just got done saying that it's not like that. It's kind of a workman's show, but you're trying to break through the glass. You're trying to break through the computer screen with this one. Yeesh. Maybe it is going to be a good show.
I love this sport, man. I love this sport. There's nothing as pure as mixed martial arts. Boxing is great. Boxing is really technical, but it's not 100% pure. Nothing. What outside of left way with the elbows and the headbutts, I guess I believe that would be the most purest form of expression right there. But outside of that, when it comes to sport, nationwide sport, worldwide sport, MMA is key. MMA is the one.
I think I'm going to coin a Yogi Berra-ism right now for MMA and say there's just not enough kicks in boxing.
Right.
Well, at least you didn't Art Donovan and go like, oh, what's this guy weigh? Right?
Yeah.
How big is this guy?
Yeah.
So it could be worse. But I mean, we're starting off the card. Actually, it's heavyweights, right? Because we've got uh, Don Tale Mays, which I'm just gonna say, especially with that apostrophe, I'm just gonna call him Ducktales because that's what kind of DuckTales Mace, right? But he is a 7-4 heavyweight, ranked number 70th heavyweight in the world, and he goes up against a 15-6-2 Rookie Martinez, and Rookie sports a. I mean, in terms of Tapology rankings, he's the number 89th heavyweight in the world, right? But the last time that we saw Rookie in the Apex Center, it pretty much wasn't good. I mean, he got obliterated, right, by his opponent that night, whose name escapes me, so I'm waiting for the thing to load. But it was actually Alexander Romanov who won this past Saturday. I mean, in a big way, right? So yeah, he got obliterated by Romanov, and I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna say Ducktales. I mean, Dantale. Dante, or it could even be Dantale. But Dante Mays is my pick. I'd say second round knockout, but I feel like this is almost going to be almost that early edition of like heavyweight Grand Prix under Bjorn Rebney, like Ron
Yes.
Sparks versus Eric Prindle. So we're either going to
I
see
hope
an
not.
amazing fight or two dudes by the end of round two literally sucking air and just. So what say you, J10?
I'm not going to make a prediction. Roque or Rocky, however you say his name. I want to say Roke, but I could be very wrong. I'm probably thinking of Amin Roca. That's a lot. He's got a lot of experience on Dantale. After 10 fights, it starts to make a little bit less of a factor, but nevertheless, Martinez, you're looking at what 21, 20, about 23 fights compared to 11. You wonder what is his road wear in terms of those extra 12 fights or so, whatever the number is.
At heavyweight.
Very good point. Yeah, at heavyweight. I love the idea of heavyweights opening up the show because that mystique of heavyweights, the biggest guys possible, seeing them lock heads. I think you make a very good point. It can be either a snooze fest or it can really, be a barn burner to set the show off on a great note. So, I wouldn't, like I said, I a lot of these guys I don't know, and I wouldn't want to make a call blindly at all. But I like the position of the heavyweights being an opener.
Don't worry, Mr. Tan. Don't worry. I got your back, man. I'll pick a guy. I'll pick a guy.
You know something I don't know. A lot of things, I'm sure.
When I take a look at these two gentlemen, first of all, I look at their physique, right? I'm looking at Mr. Mayers, Mr. Dante Kong Mayers. He's 6'6", 260 pounds, 81-inch reach, 44 on the legs. And when I look at the other guy, he's 5'10", 250 pounds, 72 inch in the arms, Roque, and then 36 in the feet and the legs or whatever. But then I look at how they win. Dante got 71% knockout ratio compared to 53% knockout ratio for Mr. Martinez. However, Mr. Martinez does have a 20% submission ratio. That's going to tell me that when the going gets tough, Mr. Martinez is going to be shooting for his life. And that's what we're going to see here. From get-go, Mr. Mayers is going to go at him with his hands. Terrible. I don't know if he can kick, but I know for a fact that he's going to be throwing his hands. And Martinez, once he feels that power and he feels that he cannot get to this man because of the reach advantage, he's going to start shooting. Now, can he take Mr. Mayers down? That will be the question that needs to be answered. Because if he can't, he's going to get toe tagged no later than the second round. And I'm picking Mr. Mayers to win this one by knockout or TKO no later than the second.
I like it. And I mean, the tail of the tape that Voodoo gave, I mean, none other than the great Howard Finkel would be so proud. The only thing that was missing from that introduction was the following contest. That was the only thing that was missing. I'm just saying. But yeah, I think second round, TKO. I think this might be a consensus pick, and we're gonna go with Maze. Ducktales, Dontail, whichever you want to go by, but I think he's gonna get the TKO.
We'll find out on Saturday.
Saturday it
Oh
is
yes, we will.
live on ESPN Plus. You can get that live and free. Well, it's not free, but $4.99, guys. I mean, that's like I don't think you can even get a Big Mac for $4.99 nowadays.
Just the 2-for-1 special. If you're lucky, they're 2 for $5.
That's what she said.
I'm ashamed to know that I know that.
Hey, this shit is like a Dusty Rhodes promo, especially during COVID. Shit is hot times, baby. Shit. Now we're actually going up in the card, but down in weight. In the bantamweight division, we have 19 and 6. Number 56, as ranked by Tapology, Tony Gravely, right? And he's going against Geraldo de Fritas. So in terms of Tony Gravely, which I feel like he should have some sort of grave-induced nickname, some kind of moniker of that
Grim
sort.
Reaper type thing, huh?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, But I mean, coming to save the day is Espertano Geraldo. And I did it. I fucked up my Portuguese because he's Brazilian and I did a Mexican accent. What the fuck is wrong with me? Sorry, both Mexico and Brazil. I'm not cuddling a Colby Covington promo. No, not at all. I love acai and burritos all the same. So fuck yeah, Mexico and Brazil. So obviously, what do you think we have here? To me, I just want to go with the guy with Gravely. Like he's going to send. That's a good fucking promo. That he's going to send Fritas to the grave. I love it. But what say you guys?
I don't have a big opinion on this one either. I frankly I don't know either guy's names. I blame the past 4 years of having a different life on this. I've not don't have analysis for this.
Don't worry, Miss Han. I got your
Voodoo
back
got
once
it.
again. So I'm looking at these two individuals, and first thing I look for when I look at the physique, they're both in good shape. Clearly, because they're 135ers. I mean, you can't. There's no room for body fat. Okay, so they're both in shape. Two, I'm looking at their ears. Okay, they both have lots of cauliflower ear. All right, okay, that's great. So I'm looking at the American. He's got some submission, 16% submission ratio, 42% knockout, and 42% decision. So the guy, yeah, you could call him a balanced mixed martial artist. And then on the other hand, 32% knockout ratio, 42% submission ratio for the Brazilian, and 25% decision. I would say this guy also is a balanced mixed martial artist. But then, what are the advantages? Okay, the Brazilian is 5'7" compared to the American 5'5". Reach advantage 72 compared to 69 of the American, and then the legs 39 compared to 38. So physically, all advantages goes to the Brazilian, but then the Brazilian does have the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as an equalizer. I'm guessing, looking at this young man, Tony Gravely. I believe he's a wrestler. Looking at him, he's a wrestler that happens to know some submission. However, I'm going to have to go with the Brazilian here just because of his first of all, his body type is perfect for the sport, right? That's one. Two, his jiu-jitsu is going to come in handy. And he's got more wins by submission. So I got to go with him to pull this off in a decision. I don't think he's going to be able to submit Tony Gravely, but I do believe he will have dominant position in this particular matchup, and he'll be able to win by submission. I don't see him winning any other way, but not submission, decision. I don't see him winning any other way but a decision here because Tony is he's got more fights. He's got more fights. He's gonna be going for the knockout. and I'm going with the Brazilian.
He's going
All
to
right,
take Tony Gravely.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he's saying. Which I gotta ask, J-Tan, if you could do one or the other, either give Tony Gravely a Grave inspired moniker and nickname, or cut a promo for Tony Gravely, and what would that sound like?
Oh, I'd never cut a promo on any fighter. Are you kidding me? Jesus. These guys go into the cage. I'm not
So, I
afraid
mean,
to
if
do
you were
that, but the
Tony
window is
Gravely,
closed. I'm never doing that.
what promo would you cut on the Brazilian?
On the Brazilian?
Yeah, could you?
I don't know either of these
You're
guys. I told you. They're both probably nice guys. I'd shake their hands and say, have a great match. Especially
There you go.
35ers.
Yeah,
I don't want to be embarrassed to get my ass kicked by a 35er, which will happen. You know, it's just going to happen. So I might as well be chivalrous and polite and professional about it. Gentlemen, have a great match. But Tony, I will say, the Grim Reaper just rolls off the tongue. Tony, the Grim Reaper, Tony Gravely. Boom.
damn, I love it. I love it. And for 2024, we're voting J-Tan for whatever the fuck he wants to run for. And he might be running away from these two 135ers, but I digress.
Or hire them as bodyguards. Who knows?
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, if Tyson can fucking get the world's most dangerous man and former Intercontinental and NWA champion Ken Shamrock, then anything is fucking possible. And you, sir, are in Vegas, so I'm just saying. I'm just fucking saying. So I'm just yeah. So now we're going to the women's strawweight division. We've got Randa Marcos, 10, 9, and 1, hailing from Canada. But she's the number 16 strawweight, ranked number 16 strawweight in the world. And then we have Kanako Murata, right? I hope I got that right. But just to give you some, Randa Marcos has obviously been a Ultimate Fighter alum when they crowned Carlo Esparza as the first strawweight champion of the UFC. But to tell you about Kanako, she has pretty much littered her career with either chokes and decisions, right? I mean, Anaconda choke against former UFC notable Lachana Green and Angela Magana, and she won both of those with Anaconda and a Von Flue choke, respectively. But she's competed in Deep and Pancrase and Risen, right? So she definitely has Japanese MMA kind of notoriety for sure, right? And then we've got Randa Marcos. Now, Kanako is damn near at 12 fights in her career, damn near flawless, only losing one. She's 11-1. So, what say you, J-Tan?
This was the first one when I started looking at this card that stuck out to me. It's strange looking at the women's fights on this card. I think we've got like 3 of them, I believe, and 2 of them are pretty lopsided here. It feels like an introduction, a nice welcome mat for Kanako Murata. Not to say though, here's the difficult part. Not to say that Randa should be taken as a welcoming mat or anything like that. But, gatekeeper. I was a big fan of hers when that season of Ultimate Fighter happened. You covered it on the AfterBuzz network, and she was one of my favorites in the house. The girl's got heart. She's no slouch. That record betrays her skill and heart. But she is on, probably on the other side of her career. I think she's coming off of either 2 losses. Yeah, two losses. The last one was Mackenzie Dern, by a first round submission. That's going to happen. But, I don't. This would be an upset, frankly. I think if Randa comes out on top.
I agree 100%. Voodoo, what you got?
Well, Kanako, as you previously mentioned, is debuting like you said, but I'm looking at the size advantage. Weight is a very very important issue. Even though they're both going to make that weight at 115, come the next day, Randa is going to be much bigger. She's going to be bigger. Kanako is not going to get any bigger than she already is. I mean, at 5'1", come on. She's given away reach advantage, right? Height advantage, but she is a very good grappler. But the same thing can be said about Randa. And Randa is a very good striker. Kanako has a 18% knockout ratio, 36% submission, 45% decision. Ronda's never knocked anybody out, but she does have a 40% submission ratio, 60% decision. So just based on that data alone, I know where this fight is going. This fight is going to be a grappling match, and may the best grappler please stand up. In this particular case, even though Kanako is a very good grappler, I'm going with Ronda Marcos to win this one by decision in the third round. It's going to go the distance. It's going to be lots of grappling, but I'm banking on Ronda's size and height advantage to take precedence here. And she's going to win. It's not going to be by knockout or submission, but she is going to win. I'm picking Ronda to win this one.
Ooh,
Very good
interesting.
analysis.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I almost want to say, I mean, what has persisted in Kanako's career is chokes, whether it be anaconda, rear naked, you name it, she's done it. And so I want to say that, unfortunately, that Ronda might unceremoniously be kind of exited from the UFC via rear naked choke. So that's it. But I too, much like J10, I mean that I think one of the most dynamic seasons of all of the Ultimate Fighter, and obviously that show is coming back exclusively to the ESPN Plus app, which I can't be more excited for. But I mean, that was one of the standout and notable seasons, and to the first time that they ever crowned a champion via Ultimate Fighter. So, I mean, it's notable for so many ways, and Ronda Marcos is definitely a part of that lineage. So, shout out to Ronda, regardless of how this goes on Saturday.
That's right. That's right. I am in 100% agreement with you. She has been an ambassador of the sport, and she has been an upstanding citizen of the sport the entire time. Never any drama, only business. You know what I mean? And she represents herself well, and she represents the sport very well. So, shout out to Ronda Marcos, and I wish her all the luck in the world.
She's Canadian. Of course, she doesn't have drama. They don't do that, comparatively speaking.
Well, I believe she's like Iranian immigrant to Canada, but I mean, even still, I mean, again, you've got Iron Sheik and the Hearts, all of them. Pick a heart. I mean, that's Canada. So I'm just saying, fuck it, a. But I think it's going to be a great fight.
If I remember correctly, I believe Ronda, she escaped the Iraq War. Her and her family escaped the Iraqi regime, or whatever you want to call it, to go to Canada. That's I believe that was the story.
I'm sure that's where a lot of that heart comes from.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And she'll need every bit of it because Kanako could put her to sleep. So I mean, I hope I'm wrong. But I'm a big proponent of women's MMA, as you both are. So I mean, I think we're gonna get. I think out of the 3 female fights, this one might be probably the best female fight of the. I mean, MMA contest that just happened to involve females. So I like it. I fucking love it. And now another thing that I love, and I mean, you don't have to look very fucking hard to pick, but in the bantamweight division, we're going back to 135, but moving up in card. I mean, we've got Jose Alberto Quinones, right, who's 8-4 out of Mexico, number 34th ranked bantamweight in the world according to Tapology, against 16 7 and absolutely no decisions. I mean, no contests. He is the last samurai, Louis Smolka, ranked number 39th bantamweight in the world. Um, this one, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I'm betting home team. Smolka is a protege of Colin Oyama, of obviously Team Oyama. So I'm going to go him decision win, and he best Jose Alberto Quinones. So, J10, what we got?
Yeah, that makes sense. It is when you look at those records. Smolka has been in the UFC for years and has a lot more experience, and that can go in different directions. It can equate to road wear, and as we spoke about a little bit with Randa, possibly being on the other side of the career. But Colin, this is kind of a time that a lot of Colin's guys, are having a lot of great success. A little bit rejuvenated, if you will.
Yes.
So I don't think that necessarily that the road wear per se plays against Lewis too much. I'd be lying if I said I was that familiar with Jose. So I'll be tuning in to see what he's got there. He's a kid on the come up, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. El Teco is his nickname. El Teco versus the Last Samurai. El Teco, the Last Samurai. Well, when it comes to physical advantages, they seem to be 5'8", 5'9", not much difference there. 6'9", 6'8" in the reach department. 39, 37, not much difference there. Knockouts. Smoker, of course, has more knockouts and more submissions because he's got more fights. But however, I do notice here that Mr. Quinones likes to go to decision a lot, 6-7% of decision compared to 13%. All right, so that tells me right there there might not be that killer instinct to knock a sucker out cold. It's not there. He's more than happy to walk out of there with a decision win. That's what tells me. Okay, now we go to the significant striking. 4.25 for Mr. Smoker, 3.49 for Mr. Quinones. So those are high rates. There's going to be a lot of striking and kicking in this particular one. We're looking for lots of dynamic striking in this particular matchup. But then when it comes to the grappling, it seems that Mr. Jose Quinones has a higher grappling pedigree than Smoker, because we know Smoker, he likes to knock suckers out and put them out cold. But then Quinones, he'll hang on to you. So when Mr. Smoker is trying to get off and find his rhythm, Jose is gonna be the one to hug him and try and take him down and slow down the match. So there's possibility of dynamic striking here, but I'm guessing that once Louis Smoker touches him up a little bit here and there, Jose's gonna just go right to what he does best, which is that jiu-jitsu / grappling, and he's gonna wanna steal the round like he's done 67% of the time. He's gonna try and steal the round and not finish the fight. So Smoker is experienced enough to defend himself on the ground, and hopefully he doesn't get submitted. And if he can maintain that, I believe he can win this in a decision. I don't believe a knockout will occur here because Jose is he's good at hiding himself and keeping from getting finished. I'm going with Louis Smoker also to win this one in a 3-round decision.
Yeah, I think that's as good as a consensus pick as we're getting here. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And it's not just the fact that he's the hometown guy, but I mean, I think this is his moment to shine. Which I mean, it's kind of a rough go for Quinones, but I mean, you kind of have those. So we shall see come Saturday night. So it's a good one. Now, one thing that is particularly interesting, we're moving up in card and up in weight. The 170-pound division, better known as the welterweight division, we have Alex Morano against Reese McKee. And Reese McKee, I mean, let's go with Alex, right? Alex is 17-6 out of here in the good old US of A, and he's going up against Reese McKee. Now, Reese McKee is notable because, unfortunately for Reese, I mean, he was 10-2 going into the UFC, and then he faces in his first fight in the UFC one Hamzat Chimaev, Boraz,
Yeah,
and gets steamrolled. But I mean, yeah, as Voodoo Maximus says, toe tag, and that's exactly what happened to Reese McKee. But I mean, even still, after Chimaev, he's still 10-3. That's not a bad record to have, in your second go in the UFC. 10-3-1, right? So, in terms of Reese McKee, I mean, more likely than not, if you saw Reese McKee, you either saw him at Bama or you saw him at Cage Warriors. That obviously, set Conor, basically raised Conor McGregor, into what he would become in the UFC. So we've got him now. Alex Morano, the Great White, as he likes to call himself. I'm sure other people call him that as well. But he has a better record. I mean, he's beaten Max Griffin, Zach Otto, Keenan Song, beat Josh Berkman, lost against Jordan Main. So obviously, he's got more notables in terms of his kind of head count. So, what say you, gentlemen?
We didn't see a lot from of Alex's previous fight, getting finishing the first quickly by Chaos Williams, who's also on this card later on in the evening. But yeah, I don't think that Reese. I believe this is his UFC debut, if I'm not mistaken.
Right? Oh, second time around, yeah.
Second time, excuse me. That's right, Kazamat. Sorry. He was thrown into the deep waters last time here, and that's an opportunity to get those so-called UFC jitters out of the way. And Alex is going to be motivated to get past that flash finish from his previous match. I couldn't say enough to know. Again, Alex has the experience advantage over Reese, but that said, Reese also has the youth and ripeness in that respect. Less punishment in his fight career, so it's a pick 'em for me right now.
Yes. Fair enough indeed. Both men, like you said previously, gentlemen, are coming off losses. Reese ran into Hamza Chimaev. Unfortunate for him. How unfortunate? Because that was supposed to be his debut, but he was just a test crash dummy for Hamzat. This here is going to be his UFC debut because counting that previous fight, I mean, he didn't get to throw any punch. He did not get to throw any punch. Maybe threw one at the most. But on another note, he's going up against a great white. The great white, Alex Morano. I don't know. I don't know if Alex is ready for this particular match. I think Alex is going to take another L, and here's why. He's 5'11" compared to 6'2". They're both the same weight. All reach advantage goes to Rice McKee. Straight up. Rice has a 70% knockout ratio compared to 29% knockout ratio for Mr. Morano, but Morano has a 35% submission ratio, 30% for McKee. No decisions for McKee. It's either kill or be killed, and I like that. 25% decision ratio for Alexander Morano. So that tells me right there, he's mature. He's mature in the cage. He can go in there. He can try to take the knockout. He can try and take the submission. But if he can't get those, he'll go for the decision. So in this particular matchup, he's going to get pieced up to start off. That's what I see. I see him getting pieced off. And then when he starts getting pieced off by the second round, he's going to be shooting for his life. He's going to be shooting for his life and try and get that takedown and try and win the last 2 rounds by decision. But after the first experience, that Rice experience against Hamzat, I'm sure he's gone back and he's thrown himself at a whole lot of wrestling defense, takedown defense, and all sorts of defense. So coming into this particular matchup, he's seen the worst case scenario already. Excuse me. He's seen the worst case scenario already. Morano is not gonna be as vicious as Hamza Chimaev was. So I'm going with Rich McKee to win this one. No later than the third round. I see him getting stopped TKO. I see Morano getting stopped by TKO in this particular matchup. The shots are just going to be too hard for him to handle. He's going to get stopped in the third.
Shit is like the Black Crows, or who's the other? I forgot the original dude that fucking did Try a Little Tenderness, but Hard to Handle. Ah, fuck. It'll come to me later.
No idea what that song is.
Yeah. There's a song called Hard to Handle, and I think it was like, I don't want to say Percy Sledge who did it, but then the Black Crows covered it. Yeah, another fucking story for another day. But yeah, well,
if it ain't Chuck D or Eric B and Rakim, it doesn't matter.
Oof, ouch. Well, we're not Chuck D or any of the people that you mentioned, but Ty the Hurricane Bethany says Three Musketeers. So that's what we are. Fuck yeah. And I mean, if we're the Three Musketeers, then I'm going to be Friar John. Oh, fuck. That's not Three Musketeers. That's Robin Hood. Oh, fuck. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about other than MMA and pro wrestling. Yeah, I'm just saying. Oh, yeah, Friar Ferguson. I could do that, too. Just saying. I'm more of a Mantar. But anyway, so we're going. Obviously, we've got Reese McKee. I think that's a consensus pick. But we're going to the 115, the strawweight division of the women's division of the UFC, and we've got Ashley Yoder against Miranda Granger. Ashley Yoder, former Invicta vet, 7-6, almost a 50-50 record. But that being said, she's still ranked the number 24th strawweight in the world, right? And she's actually coming off of a loss. And that loss, actually, two losses to Randa Marcos and Lavina Souza, respectively. Both decision losses. So there's that. And then we've got Miranda Danger Granger. So we've got the Spider Monkey Yoda against Miranda Danger Granger. So I was actually at Granger's last fight, the Cage Fury Fighting Championship, or CFFC title fight at 29, or the Spotlight 29 in Morongo, or it might have even been Coachella, the city of Coachella. But she basically finished off her opponent that night. I mean, of a guillotine choke, 41 seconds in the very first round. Remember that? CM Punk and John Morgan even fucking were the commentators for that one. So that was notable in another aspect in its own right. So I've got Danger Granger. I think, unfortunately, this will be the one to put the proverbial nail in the coffin of Ashley Spider Monkey Yoda. And I think Granger gets it done by submission, probably in the first or second.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Granger as well. Unfortunately, you look at these records, and again, I mentioned earlier in the Randa Marcos and Kaneko Murata match, a little bit lopsided booking there. This is another example of that. And it bears to mind the debate about when you've got two matches that are identically lopsided, but due respect to Ashley and to Randa, why not make them more even matches, and booking Miranda Granger versus Kaneko Murata, and then Randa versus Ashley Yoder. That was always my when I was booking fights at the U, especially amateur is a different thing. You want the fighters to have a good experience, and you want them to feel like they're being given fair opportunities.
Right.
I don't think this is necessarily really the case for Ashley. And I don't know what the mentality was for booking this match, especially when you had another similarly styled match lower down on the card. You could crisscross these two and the two matches, and have two matches that are very even in terms of experience, heat, even a little bit, record, and familiarity with UFC fans. Now, granted, Kaneko Murata is making her debut. Miranda Granger has been around. UFC fans have seen her around, but it's not a match that I would have put together, especially when you've got another one. I don't know if the only thing I can think of is if the bookers that be were thinking, well, let's hope and assume that Granger and Murata, come out of their matches as victors and then pair them up. But to what end? The stakes aren't high enough that you want to build up something on the middle of the card. This is about fighters, working their way up the card against people that are of even keel in terms of records and experience, not of lopsided it, but this is not the first time we've seen something like this, and it won't be the last. But we'll see. But it looks on paper, it looks like it's Rangers night tomorrow or Saturday.
Yes. I totally agree with you, Mr. Tan. On paper, it looks like Miranda Granger.
Butchering his name. What did I start with you? Should have pronounced it correctly from the get-go.
Yeah.
I didn't know Lobo. I can do that easily. I didn't know Lobo all day.
Again, foreign name pronunciation classes by Voodoo. I'm just saying. There you
go. I also got Granger, man. I mean, she's got more. She's got 14% knockout, so she's knocked somebody out in the past. 70% submission ratio. So grappling must be up to par. She throws a lot more when it comes to throwing strikes, more than Ashley Yoda. She's on paper she's better. So I mean I cannot ignore all these facts, even though I do not know these ladies. All the facts that I have to go on points a finger at Miranda Granger. So I'm going with Granger to win this one. No later than the third round. I don't know if it's gonna be by submission, but I see she's gonna win regardless.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see. And something interesting happened off stage left, but in any event, it seems like a consensus pick. We've got Miranda Granger, probably going to be finishing in some sort of way. Not sure how, but I think she's going to finish off the Spider Monkey, which is a weird moniker, but I digress. It's better than the Taz Mexican Devil. So what the fuck is that? Your last name is Borg. That's a layup. That's like a fucking Scottie Pippen to Jordan, but no, you went with Taz Mexican Devil, and I've yet to see a Taz Mexican Devil. That is again the Alan Belcher bad Johnny Cash tattoo of bad UFC nicknames. That has to take the fucking cake.
You just gotta get down to TJ at the right hour in the evening or early morning. You'll see some fight amongst them, I'm sure.
Just saying, it was a crazy fucking time in TJ. I'm just saying, wild night in Mexico. So we're moving up. This one is actually going to be a catchweight bout, which is fucking crazy, right? This is actually happening at 195 pounds. So it's right in between, like 185 and 205, which for anybody that is kind of lamenting that UFC should have more weight classes, this might be the reason why, or this might be a kind of proponent for your argument, right? But we've got Brendan Allen, right, who sports he's all in. Not AEW all in, but definitely all in. Brendan Allen, who sports a 15-3 record, and he's going up against a rejuvenated Shane Strickland. Tarzan is coming in 21-3, and his finish of Jack Marshman just a month. That was what, Halloween, and he's back in the cage. he looks phenomenal. Now, I have to think about if he hadn't gotten into that motorcycle accident and took a 2 year sabbatical to fucking battle that. What we, I mean, Sean Strickland might be a UFC champion in the 185-pound division, or at least had his crack at the gold. He's looked absolutely fucking phenomenal. So, Brendan Allen, even though his record is amazing and he's coming off of a win in his own right, he's out of Rufus Sport, which has turned out such notables as the Pettis brothers, Ben Askren, Rafion Stocks, who's fighting next week in Bellator. But he basically beat Kyle Dawkins in a barn burner. And Kyle Dawkins he's a good fighter, and essentially got made to look foolish by Shane Strickland. So I got Strickland by decision. What say you, gentlemen?
I don't want to make a prediction. This is a bit of a pick 'em for me. It's a lot of fun. I mean, you look at the records and the story that I get out of it. Like you said, a very fair point. Sean Strickland rejuvenated. It amazes me that former King of the Cage champion. I had to double take actually when I saw his name. I said, "Wait a second." Now he's been around the sport and especially the SoCal scene for a long time, but I thought that's got to be a different Sean Strickland. To think that he's only 29 and has the record and the experience that he has. 29 seems so young to me. I'm betraying my own age, but 29 seems like a spring chicken to me. And then you look at Brandon Allen, age 24 with a 7-fight win streak. This is his step up in competition. And it could go either way. I know that's a term that doesn't say anything at all, but it's certainly a great challenge for Brandon Allen. It's within reach. And this is also a test for Strickland to see how does he fare against the younger guys coming up, that have a rocket ship strapped to their back. 7-fight win streak is no joke.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm in full agreement. Sean Strickland, very, very balanced martial artist. He's a complete fighter. There's no doubt about it. He's a complete fighter with only 3 losses. One is that a no contest or whatever? 21 wins. Wow, 21 wins. 21 wins. His striking is his bread and butter, because right here it says he's got 43% knockout ratio, 19% submission, and 38% decision. So he tries to win the fight standing. But then he's going in there against this young chap, this Brandon All-In Allen. Brandon All-In Allen, he's a good striker. He's good enough to get a hold of you. And then when he gets a hold of you, it's hard to get him off. He's like that gorilla glue. When you get it on your fingers, it's too sticky. It's hard to get it off. That's what Brandon All-In Allen is. If Strickland is going to win this match, he's just going to have to knock this dude out cold. Because if he doesn't, he's going to sleep. He will be submitted at some point in the match. He's got to knock out Brandon Allen. Otherwise, he's going to get submitted. They all get submitted by Brandon Allen. Yes, he's new to the game, but his striking is good enough to match up against Mr. Strickland. And when it comes to it and they get close enough, Brandon's going to switch that gear, change gears on them like a stick shift car, and take it to that next level. That grappling is sick, man. That grappling is unforgiving. Like the movie with Clint Eastwood, Unforgiven. Remember he went into that town and took everybody out? Anybody that thought they were a bad guy, or even good guys got shot up that night. You know what I mean? So that's how it is. That's what's going to happen with Brandon Allen. If Strickland's corner steps in there, they might get choked out too. So that's what we're talking about. Brandon Allen, submission, no later than the third.
I hate to shoot a hole in your theory here, but Unforgiven, the young kid chickened out, right? And it was
That's
the
right.
old guys that, that had the OG Cold Steel blood, right? I hope that's not the case. I'm assuming that's not the case for Allen here.
Well, hey, Mr. All In Allen, he's going in there as Clint Eastwood in this matter.
Well, I mean, are we doing Unforgiven Clint Eastwood, or are we going to Gran Torino? Where somebody told me like, "Oh, you should watch this movie and it's awesome," and I sat through 10 seconds of it and I was like, "This is the racist shit ever." Like, I'm just saying. And then, and
It
then,
gets
or
hokey. It gets
yeah,
hokey. It's
it
racist,
is.
and it goes to white salvation hokey. So yeah, you ain't missing nothing.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. Or are we talking about the Clint Eastwood that was talking to an invisible former president in a chair and lost fucking everybody? Much like my analogy. So I kind of sympathize, but not really. So I'm just saying. So
I like spaghetti
obviously,
western, Sergio Leone's, where Clint Eastwood doesn't say shit. Those are the good ones.
just saying, just saying. So there it is. But we'd like to give a huge shout out to Ty, the Hurricane Bethley. He's saying, "How are you doing, my bros? We're doing fine. We're hoping you're doing fucking phenomenal out there in your new move to Orange County, California." And we're gonna just do Too Sweet. There you go. To one Ty, the Hurricane Bethley. So Too Sweet, Too Sweet. Damn right. Um, so we're going to the 180. This one is actually a defined contest. This is not catch weight at all because we have Antonio Arroyo, who's 9-3, from Brazil, and he's going up against Eric Anders, 13-5. Now, in terms of what Arroyo is bringing to the table, not he's not bringing a moniker. He's just going by his given name, but he's coming off of a win on the Contender Series. Literally had a back-to-back run, winning both. But his first iteration of the Contender Series didn't get the contract. Then he goes up against Steven Regman last year in July and finishes via arm triangle choke, but loses his UFC debut to Andre Muniz. Now, Eric Anders, in his last fight, he essentially put a lot of people on notice. Uh, he calls himself Yeah Boy, and he will not. Well, actually, his last fight, he
Yeah,
actually
boy.
lost via decision to Christophe Jotko. But his win over, I think it was that Gerard Michard fight, or no, fuck. It was actually a little bit before the Khalil Roundtree loss, where he
Hmm.
literally fucked up his foot and was getting. Khalil Roundtree was piecing him up essentially in a very big way, and he. Maybe it's the football in him or what have you, but he just would not quit. Um, Fuck no, man. So I'm going. I'm going on Eric, yeah, boy, Anders. I guess to me it's a layup. It's a fucking layup. But what say you, gentlemen?
I don't know about a layup per se, but I agree. I would put my money on Anders. The thing that stuck out to me was that he's 1-1 in his past couple of fights, like more recently, because you can study guys going back only so far. As you know, Pius, people change,
Yes.
and especially in the fight game, you can change from year to year, let alone over a couple of years. And 4 years is a lifetime in the sport. So studying Eric that far back is not really uh, doesn't hold a lot of validity to me. But more recently, he's fought guys with a lot of experience, 25 matches plus. And he had a mixed bag there. With Arroyo, he's got somebody a little bit closer to his experience level, but he's still the veteran. So I think it's a good test to see where is your boy in terms of his momentum. 'Cause he's had a mixed bag over the past in more recent years. in terms of wins and losses in the UFC. Certainly a fun, marketable, memorable guy to watch, but does he have it to really go forward? It's a good question, but this is going to be a test. He's going to have to get by Arroyo if he's going to, really build up any momentum. And to that end, so this is Arroyo's opportunity to shine.
Yes. Yeah. Arroyo coming in off the Contender Series. It's not the same as the big show. You know what I mean? Fight Night is the big show. All those pay-per-views are the big show. He's gonna feel the lights. He's gonna feel the lights. He's gonna feel the bright lights. He's gonna feel the millions and millions of eyeballs that are glued to the TV watching to see what he does against Mr. Ya boy Eric Anders. He's gonna try his best because when you're locked in there with a fella like your boy, you know what I mean? It's gonna be tough. And I'm looking at Mr. Arroyo. I'm looking at his right arm, and he's got a tattoo of what do you call that? That place where New Mexico. So he must be training with Greg Jackson and those guys. So that means he's coming in there with some pretty good skills. He's gonna be coming in there with some pretty good skills, some good grappling and all that. But this is Eric Anders we're talking about. The man is powerful. He touches you one time and you go to sleep. You're gonna go to sleep if he touches you. Now, can Mr. Arroyo close the distance and take away those striking prowess of Eric Anders? That is yet to be known. We will see. But my guess is it's gonna be a tough matchup for him because he's new to the big show. That might play a role in against him. It might play against him a little bit. Your boy has been there before. He's lost. He's won. He's got more experience. And I see your boy winning this one. I see him winning this one. If he doesn't get the knockout, he will get a unanimous decision.
It's interesting thinking about the UFC jitters and the feel of the big show. I don't know that we're necessarily getting that, or that it would be interesting to hear fighters that have debuted in 2020 to hear if the big show jitters are really a thing in these closed, confined shows. They're no fan shows, and as you know, it's the fans, the energy of the jitters of being on stage comes from having fans and that volume, that noise and chaos, and you're not getting that at all with these closed COVID shows. So
that is true. That is true. You're not getting that. You're right. You're not getting that. But what you are getting is Dana White's eyeballs looking at you in a quiet room.
That's true. That's a different kind of pressure, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a whole another level right there. Because if it doesn't work out, you can almost guarantee that it's 90-90. You might not make it back. You might not make it back.
And being locked in a cage with a guy that looks like your boy, like you said, that strength, that brawlic, that's pressure too. I know. I don't want that. I don't want that with the 35ers, let alone your boy.
Yeah, so we shall see. We shall see what happens. But I think it's going to be an interesting fight. I think this one's going to go to a decision. But, I mean, this one, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at each other. And it's, it's going to be a feast for the eyes, I think. So we're moving up, right? We have a women's strawweight contest between 7-3 Kay Hansen, who's an Invicta notable and a veteran, and she goes up against the Hobbits, Corey McKenna. Now, Corey McKenna, this is kind of, it's weird, right? So we've got Kay Hansen, 7-3, training out of 10 Planet Jiu-Jitsu Burbank. Buena Park, different, Freudian slip. But she actually, in her UFC debut, beat another former Invicta champion in Genuine Fray by triangle, armbar triangle. So we've got the Hobbit, who actually beat on the Dana White Contender Series for her slot in the UFC, won LFA inaugural strawweight champion, Vanessa Little Monster Demopoulos, and she beat her by submission. So this one, to me, I think is a pretty even keel, especially both having submission wins over former champions of their respective promotions. So I don't know. This one, I'm going to say this is my pick 'em. But what say you guys?
I like McKenna in this one. I'm leaning towards her. There's something to be said. Absolutely, due respect to Kay and the 10th Planet Universe, and that submission win in June. But this one feels, looking at Corey's record, her defeat was back in 2018, which when you're, certainly given what I said earlier, when you're on a win streak for a couple of years, that that says something unto itself. Because the point of the game is to win, right? If you're not losing, then you're doing something right, obviously. So this does feel like McKenna. She's she's got momentum going for her, and yeah, I lean in that direction.
Yes. I can totally understand why you would lean in that direction. The young lady is quite gifted, and she represents the UK/Ireland pretty well. However, she is gonna run into this beast of a female in Kay Hansen. Kay Hansen, I've been following her in Invicta, and she's yet to disappoint. Even in losses, she's quite impressive. Her striking is on point, and if it goes to the ground, her jiu-jitsu is on point. I do not see this particular matchup going to the ground. I do not see Kay Hansen going to the ground, because if it goes to the ground, then she's going into Corey McKenna's strong suit. So I see lots of wrestling here. I see lots of takedown defense here, and I see lots of hands. I see lots of hands by Kay Hansen. Though Corey McKenna is also a good striker in all right, as you know, those English folks and those Irish folks, they do a whole lot of this, right? So I see the match. I see the match ending up there, and I see more speed coming from Kay Hansen. She's gonna have more touches, and it's going 3 rounds. There won't be a finish in this particular matchup, but I see Kay Hansen winning this one though.
I like it. I like it. This, like I said, this one is a toss-up. I like both of your guys' analogy and analysis for both. This one is too close to call for me. So I think we're going to have a really good fight. And I mean, this one is going to be a dogfight. I think this one, when it's all said and done, this may be one of the recipients of the $50,000 bonus that Dana White can give out, pretty gratuitously. So we shall see. We shall fucking see. But one thing that I mean, right off the back, I fucking love this, right? We are third from the top, but we have, I'll go ahead and pronounce one of them first, in Saparberg, Sararov, which that's as easy to say as like Josephat Torres. Like it's a weird kind
or
of
Payasign and Lolobo.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I added an extra low in there, didn't I?
Yeah, I fucking went with it. Jesus. But he is going up against somebody
who
Somebody
is easier to pronounce his name in Julian Marquez, although Marquez is coming off of a 2-year hiatus. You like that? That was smooth. We got that. And so that's who is going to win in the main event. Thank you very much, guys. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for joining us.
Well, there you go. I mean, I think we'll wrap it up. But I mean, before we go, we've got like another 2 fights, but I've got like
got to keep it moving,
favorite...
Woods. You just gotta stay in step, Woods. You miss a spot. You botch.
I know. I botched this. Botchamania. Matthew, fucking get this shit going. But the best winning best body contest, winning the best fucking nickname contest is one Julian Marquez, because Julian is the fucking Cuban Missile Crisis, and he is. I mean, look at the fucking guy. He looks like that. He almost looks like that Iranian Hulk dude. I mean, now obviously his main kind of topology page is different from the one that we get a little picture of. But I mean, Marquez is 7-2 versus Sarafov. Oh, fuck it.
Safarov.
Yeah, Spartanburg, that dude. I mean, I like Julian Marquez. There you go. I say Julian Marquez, second round KO. That I think that's what she does. Second round KO. What say you guys?
The story here for me is again, wrong term, not a welcome mat by any means for Julian Marquez, but Marquez is coming off of a 2-year layoff, and a layoff will definitely change a fighter. It's a shoulder injury. We're not in the inner circle to really know, what that time has been like and how well that shoulder has healed or not. But you've got Safarov is 1-3 in the UFC. He lost to a very high-level jiu-jitsu fighter named Rodolfo Vieira, and that was in March. So this is probably an appropriate match, an appropriate level for Marquez to test himself back in the waters after a 2-year layoff. And by the same token, Safarov, if he belongs in the UFC at all, he's got to turn that 1-3 upside down. And
that's right.
Somebody with that layoff is appropriate. If he can't get it done against Marquez, then you probably belong elsewhere.
Indeed. Like you said, Marquez is coming from a shoulder injury, but wow, what a nickname! The Cuban Missile Crisis, man. That tells you he's coming to knock your head off the shoulders. And so Saparbeg or something like that.
Saparov.
Saparov.
And in the Lobo.
My name is way easier than this Saparbeg. Hey, but when you look at Saparbeg, even though he looks like my grandfather, he's got a 78-inch reach advantage.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some long arms. This is gonna make for a slobber knocker. We could possibly see fight of the night in this particular matchup right here. Like you said, both fighters, they like to knock folks out. The Missile Crisis has a 71% knockout ratio. Safarov has a 67% knockout ratio. 29% submission missile, 22%. These guys like to bang is what I see. They like to bang, and it's going to be a bang fest. I'm going with the Russian to win this one, man, for the simple fact that the Missile Crisis is coming from, from wherever he's coming from an injury. And Safarov needs to win. He needs to win to stay in the United States or the United UFC.
He's going to rock out in the USSR, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
The ultimate fighting states. There's something to be said. Pressure. What's that line about pressure building diamonds?
That's right.
Yes.
There's nothing more dangerous than somebody that's got nothing to lose.
That's right.
And both of these guys, that's the case for them.
And there's no way Safarov is going back to Putin without a W this time.
If he doesn't have that W, he might not go back.
Oh yeah. In old country, they break him hard way. I'm just saying. But I mean, I'm not gonna let this fucking slide. I mean, Vito Maximus, you said like Spartanburg Stroganoff looks like your grandfather? The fuck? Like I want to see pictures of your lineage. Like,
Yeah, now that you
I'm just
mention it,
saying, like, you
in
know,
the way of having 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, I get that. Yeah, sure. What's the other correlation there?
we lost him.
Fuck you.
Oh, guys! Oh, you silenced Voodoo Maximus. No one has ever been able to do that.
I thought he was selling, but now I'm starting to believe it too.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. He's not no selling at all. Oh fuck!
Wasn't even that good.
I thought it was awesome.
All
I
right.
thought it was awesome. That shit was like Mike the Miz. He's a fucking awesome. I'm just saying,
That's
shit.
up Voodoo Maximus. I'll take that.
Yes, there you go. Take it where you
A
can
lot of
get it.
people can say they've done that.
Not a lot. Not a lot at all. It's sad. But speaking of things that we won't have a lot of after this Spartanburg Stroganoff Cuban Missile Crisis deal is fights, because we have approached the co-main events of the evening. We have Abdul Razak Al Hassan, who's 10-2, against Chaos Williams, 10-1, and this one is, this is as linear as it gets in the 170-pound division, because as ranked by Typology, Al Hassan is ranked number 45 in the world versus Chaos Williams, who is 49th. So it's just a nice incremental step. Should Chaos win, and then Abdul is kind of in the same spot. Should he beat Chaos? But this one is pretty similar. 10-1 versus 10-2. Judo Thunder is Al Hassan. He just he lost to Monir Lazez, uh, but he won against Nico Price. He won against Sabe Homasi. Actually twice, like
Back
back-to-back
matches.
fights
Yeah.
with Sabah. So there's that, and then we've got Mr. Chaos fucking Williams, which, kudos to Mr. and Mrs. Williams for naming your kid Chaos. His nickname is the
I think
Ox Fighter, but I would just if your name is fucking Chaos, it's like Thor
Chaos.
Stanky. You
well,
don't need a fucking name if
I
your
think
name is Thor.
his original first name is it's either Kalin or Kalin. Might be pronouncing it wrong. Kalinn. But yeah, I saw Chaos as well. At first, I thought that was. I was afraid that was his birth name. I hope not. I hope he has options. That's all I'm saying. If the guy grew up and turned out to be a poet or something, but his name is Chaos.
But
What
he
do you
could
do
be
with
one of
that?
those beatniks. Come
Yeah, I
on.
suppose there's that. Yeah, the Black Beatnik.
That's
It's a
Voodoo
chapter.
Maximus. But anyway,
I was going to say, yeah. There's a hole to be filled with that nickname. You're taking away from you're taking time away from the fight world. Get your ass, use that mouth. Get your ass on some beatnik poetry. Start writing.
just saying. Just saying.
The Black Beatnik, pious. Junior.
Man, which I gotta ask, Jay, you and Turi, did you pay the announcer any more for being able to pronounce Pius's name correctly and the
No.
syllables?
I'm glad you mentioned that now that we're not running shows, because I don't want you to give the guy ideas and ask for a step up and pay. No, I'm glad that never came about. Good point.
10 points. 10 points.
Shout out to Sal Ariano, eh?
That's right, Sal. Shout out, Sal.
Mhm.
Oh man, this particular matchup, another possibility for fighter of the night right here, man. This is my second pick for fight of the night. Both fighters are great stand-up fighters, and Abdul Razak, he's got 100% finish ratio. He either finishes you or you beat him. That's what's going on here. He's 10-2. The other guy is 10-1. Mr. Ox Fighter, Chaos Williams. Woo! I don't even know who to pick in this particular one, man, because Chaos, he's got that knockout power too. And you know it only takes eight pounds of pressure to on the right button, and you're going to sleep. Who's the better dynamic striker here? That's what this is gonna come out to. Who's the better dynamic striker? I'm leaning towards the African, or the Cameroonian, I should say. I'm leaning towards Abdul Razak Al Hassan because he knows you either kill him. Only 2 people have been able to kill this guy. He's only died twice, but he's killed a whole lot of folks. KO. He does not go to decision. The guy doesn't go. You either beat him or he kills you. It is what it is. I like his record. I like his style. I like the fact that he goes for the finish. And I'm going for Abdul Razak Al Hassan to win this one. Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're going for him just because you like to say his name. It's fun.
Yeah.
I can't blame you. Who am I talking to? Yeah, I understand that. It'd also be pretty fun to watch Bruce Buffer try and get past that name. Not that he hasn't already a bunch of times, anyway.
They're probably going to bring in Joe Martinez for this one.
Just for the one match.
Yeah, why not? The hot tag.
Yeah. You know, I agree with the analysis, but the only other thing that stuck out to me here in looking over it was the age difference. They have the same amount of fights, but Abdul Al Hassan is 10 years older, and that mid-30s, you're either peaking at that time or you're starting to see yourself go downhill. It sure as hell doesn't look like he's 35. But that makes a difference as well. So that I'm leaning towards Chaos Williams actually, just simply because of that. But we'll see. It's not certainly not the most scientific opinion I've ever had.
But that's a very good reason, though. That's a very good reason. You know what I mean?
I'm actually going double KO. I think they both fucking. Just like, just an exchange and whatever, and just fucking, I don't know, fucking, I'm double champ, double rainbow.
That's the joke that I used to make when I would just post on Twitter in case I knew people that were trying to avoid spoilers. I would go for something like that, or a double DQ from multiple nut shots. That was always my go-to. Can you believe that happened? Wow. And if you're dumb enough to believe that happened, you deserve that. But a double KO, God, we haven't seen that since when Shoney Carter was reffing.
Yes.
I think there's only been 2 in recorded history that I know of, right?
Yeah, I mean recorded history because I'm sure there's some Spartan against a lion and whatever, and they probably knock each other out and shit like that, stab each other. One fucking. What is that, claw and then one fucking sword? I'm sure it fucking happened. I'm just saying. But yeah, in MMA, there's only been 2. But I think we're going to go for fucking 3. 3, and it's going to happen on Saturday night on ESPN on this UFC Vegas, whatever fuck number that they call it. But we know it as.
I don't think they're even numbering them anymore, are they? I don't think they've been.
No, they'll number it like literally 5 minutes before whatever. It'll be,
really?
Just like when we first started doing this show, we were on UFC.com trying to get stats on the fighters, and that was fucking shit show. I mean, I mean, this is like George Goulas circa fucking Mid-South Wrestling shit show trying to get your stats from fucking UFC.com. They won't update their shit even after the fight. So fuck it. We'll sheer dog and Tapology all the fucking way. Which, by the way, if you guys want to challenge our picks, I'm on Tapology at According to Wood. So my picks are in. So go ahead and challenge it. I'm just saying.
If you want to know, they say this is Vegas 14. UFC Vegas 14. This particular show. And by the way, this co-main event, you will not be disappointed. It's gonna be fire. This co-main event is gonna be fire. Regardless of who wins, the fans are gonna win. The fans are gonna win more. Regardless who gets the W, the fans are gonna win in this particular match.
You're putting your money this fight of the night.
Woo! It's a good bet. That's a good bet right there. Yep, that's a good bet. But you can't overlook Paul Felder, man. You know how that Irish Dragon is, man. You know, and then Dos Anjos, he's always ready for war. You can look at his ear and know he's ready for war.
That's what she said. In any event, we have arrived at the main event of the evening. We have former UFC champion RDA Rafael Dos Anjos up against UFC commentator, short notice coach, and cornerman. The guy who took this fight on literally 5 days' notice because he wanted to show people how badass and how big his balls were. That is fact. That's what he fucking said. He is the Irish Dragon, Paul Felder. I mean, obviously, unfortunately, Muslim Akshayev basically on Sunday had pulled out of the fight. No, his name is Muslim. His name is Muslim.
I could have sworn it was Islam.
Oh.
I think it's just funny that Voodoo was laughing at it.
Maybe it was. I knew something that fucking Louis Farrakhan was about.
But you know what? Either way, you're right.
Beat by final call.
Out no matter what.
Beaten by final call. Brother. I'm just saying.
Make him get down. Professor Overseer, I got hook in my crown.
Yeah, fuck. Don't Clarence Mason on us. Come on.
Shout out to DJ Sugar Shaft, rest in peace, and Professor X, rest in peace. Big up, Brother Jay, the Funkin' Lesson, the Grand Verbalizer.
There you go. Shouting out the Sabus. So, I mean, how the fuck does this one go? Because obviously RDA was preparing for another gentleman, right? Another highly touted prospect, and that fight falls off. And in 5 days, he's fighting Paul Felder. And I think, just in terms of name recognition, this is actually a better fight than the original slated contest. But I mean, again, 5 days notice for Paul Felder. I really fucking don't know. This one, to me, I think it's even keel. Obviously, Felder has never not trained, but I also thought that overseas show that they did in the UK or whatever, I thought he called it a career. But I mean, especially in this kind of like era of UFC fights and USADA testing, you're never really done until you exit the testing pool, right? And Paul Felder is one that he might have alluded to a retirement in his last fight, but he hasn't exited the pool. So leaving that anything can happen, that picogram of chance that we might see him back in the UFC octagon, well, now here it is.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Dos Anjos test positive for COVID like less than a month ago or about a month ago? Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. And granted, these are highest level athletes, walking the earth, but that shit knock your cardio on your ass, right? And I agree with your assessment. This is a better match than what we had previously. It's fascinating for the many different angles to analyze it. I think COVID is going to play a factor, despite that RDA can go and obviously is a cardio machine. Anybody at that level of fighting is. But bolstering my point earlier, there's nothing more dangerous than a guy that's got nothing to lose. And Paul Felder, in many ways, is that. He was talking about, the twilight of his career, or, kind of having second thoughts on. I think it's, it's a sign of his motivation for why he fights. And certainly sounds like he's doing it for the fun of it. That's that's a dangerous dude, stepping in the cage and throwing down for the fun of it. Those are dangerous people. Moreover, I think what's fascinating, Felder obviously is a smart analyst. He's a smart brain in the cage, for lack of a better phrase. So he's got RDA's number in terms of, kind of prep, mental, analyzing the situation. I would bet that this is a bit more of a chess match than a slobber knocker. And I would think that I'm not Paul Felder in terms of fight IQ at all. But, in a scenario like this, I would think that you would want to run out RDA's cardio, push him, tire him out, take him into deeper waters, in 4 and 5, and, and punishing him along the way. Maybe you'll see him work the body, a lot of mixing it up and body shots and mid-level kicks and stuff. And wear him out for a TKO later in the match, my guess.
Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yes, COVID is playing a key role in this particular match, but I don't think it's going to be that significant. I've been watching Rafael Dos Anjos these past few weeks, and training has not slowed down for the gentleman at all. Prior to this, he was getting ready for an excruciating wrestling matchup, and now there is no more wrestling threat. And he's done all this to get ready, and I don't think that's going to go to waste. I don't believe that's going to go to waste. I believe he is going to be the aggressor in this particular matchup. He will utilize MMA at its fullest, meaning he will strike when he has to, he will grapple when he has to, and he will do whatever it takes to win this match. Who has more weapons? I believe RDA has more weapons. Felder. Is Felder in shape? Yes, Felder is in shape. Prior to this, Felder was actually training for a triathlon. That means he rides for a few miles, he swims for a few miles, and he runs for a few miles. So is the man in shape? Yes, he is in shape. He is in tip-top shape. He might be in better shape than Rafael Dos Anjos right now. Might, because triathlon shape and fighting shape are two different things. Completely different. However, I do not feel he's going to get tired. So let's give him that. He's not going to get tired. However, is he going to be sharp? Is he going to be sound? 5 days, what, 10 days notice or 5 days notice? What is it?
5 days.
5 days notice is not long enough to sharpen your weapons for this particular type of match against a former champion, in Rafael Dos Anjos, the man that went up to 170 pounds, and out of 6 or 7 matches, he only lost maybe 1. You know what I'm saying? The guy is still at the very top of his game. Now he's coming back down to 155, and he did it the right way, by the way. He shrunk down with hard work. He didn't lose a bunch of water weight. He shrunk his body down first, right? So he's not going to get tired. I don't believe he's going to get tired. I believe Rafael Dos Anjos' wrestling is going to be the key here. Now, does Paul Felder have wrestling prowess? Yes, he does. But I don't feel that he can string together those transitions better than Rafael Dos Anjos. And I believe Rafael is going to edge him out in the transition department, which is the same thing that Khabib does to folks. Khabib is the best transitioner on the planet. Well, in MMA, not on the planet. In MMA, Khabib is the best transitioner. He transitions better than anyone he's ever faced. And I believe in this particular matchup, Dos Anjos is going to transition just a tiny bit better than Paul Felder. He will take Paul Felder down. Might not be at will. He will get lucky. He will take him down. And when he gets him down, I believe he'll keep him down and he'll be able to outwork him on the ground. Even though Paul Felder is very, very active on the ground. I do not believe he's going to outwork Rafael dos Anjos on the ground. Rafael has been there with the very best in the world. Yes, Paul Felder has been there with the very, very best in the world, but Rafael has been there with more top 5 fighters than Paul Felder. So that piece of experience that he has more than Felder is going to make a difference. It's just that much. But in this game, this much is a whole lot. It is this much, but in this game, any
You can
advantage.
stop doing that to me. Enough of that. Okay? Yeah.
Which Jordan? Go ahead.
That's twice I got voodoo.
Any advantage in this sport, no matter how big or how small, is an advantage.
Wow,
period.
really?
And it's gonna pay dividends. By the way, it's gonna be a five round war, 25 minute war, and the split decision. I'm gonna give it a split because Paul Felder is a formidable opponent. If he doesn't get the knockout, if Paul Felder doesn't get the knockout, it will be a split decision win for Rafael dos Anjos. And I see a higher probability of a decision win, a split decision win, than a knockout win for Paul Felder. So I'm going with Rafael dos Anjos to win this particular one. One, because he prepared for a 25-minute war. Two, he's got the better ground game. And three, I think it's his time. He's still aiming for a belt. He still wants to win a title. Felder, that ship is sailed. Felder is only interested, per Felder, he's only interested in mega matches, super matches. This here is a super match. This is why he took the fight. To fight someone like Rafael dos Anjos is a super match to him, and it makes sense to him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have taken the match. He's not interested in chasing a belt anymore. As you can see, when he fought the Hangman Hooker, he pretty much retired that night. But the money's good. I mean, they're gonna pay him maybe a mil to take this short notice fight. I don't know. I'm guessing.
A mil?
But
no, he's not
that much.
A mil. Oh, good God, no. I would love to be right for Paul Felder's sake and his family's sake. I hope you're right. I know you're wrong, but I hope you're right. No, that ain't happening.
So, hey, he's getting paid more than he usually gets paid. For him to take this short notice fight,
and a main
event.
Paid.
And a main event against Rafael dos Anjos.
He doesn't care about a main event status.
But he cares about that.
Perhaps so. Yep.
I care about that. Anybody that doesn't think that I care about that, I fucking care about that. So I will send you my Cash App and Venmo info, whatever. Like, let's do that. Fuck
Great.
yeah.
We'll both do a UFC fight.
Oh fuck! I will duck. That will be the first ducking in a UFC fight, or a fucking dive in a UFC fight ever. I will be unceremoniously whatever. But hey, fuck, just saying, I'll take a hit. Fuck yeah, dude. I'm just saying. But it's J10, says George Hermosa, the major domo of the Wrestling Chatter channel on YouTube. And for those who don't know, George Hermosa will be on According to Woods live on Facebook and YouTube at 9 p.m. Tonight. So right after we're doing this, we're going one-on-one with George Hermosa, who vows to beat one Chris Kloss, XPW's Chris Kloss, his record on According to Woods, which stands about 4 hours and change, maybe even 4:20. So
wow.
We'll see. We'll see that. I've got literally a coffee pot brewing, but he says preach J10, and he wants a shout out from J10. So
big up to my brethren, B-Fam, George Hermosa. We share the same birthday, by the way.
It's his birthday?
No, it's
UFC.
not. We share the same birthday.
Oh, you share?
We are exactly 10 years apart in age, believe it or not.
So Hermosa is 45, and you're 35?
Doesn't have. Did I say 10? That you mean 5?
Yeah,
2?
that works.
2? I'm 35. Yeah. George is older than me.
Yes, I agree.
Shout out to
We
the old man George Hermosa.
shout out. I mean, he who may or may not be destroyer number 2. Just saying.
That's a hell
Yeah,
of a card you
and
got right now.
July 16th for life.
There you go.
That's probably somebody who committed or was found guilty of murder. Probably said the exact same thing.
Internationally known, it's celebrated as J Day in some parts of the world, and in other places, it's known as Horjapalooza.
Horjapalooza. I like it.
Yep.
Horjapalooza. I mean, that's yeah, that's
It goes back
definitely
to the
interesting.
Mayans.
It goes back to the Mayans. You guys probably
Horjapalooza.
sacrificed many a virgin to get this important distinction. Yes.
I wish it was many of them.
You're talking to the guy that confused Muslim with Islam, and just saying. This is top brow. And I mean, when Buddha was talking about the best transitions of all the world, and I think in terms of athletes, the best transition, bar none, has to be Caitlyn Jenner. But I digress. Wow. So I'm just saying. Gold medal. Fuck yeah, man. But shit.
Khabib versus Caitlyn Jenner in terms of transitions. What do you do?
Yes. Khabib versus fucking. That's a fucking super fight. Khabib versus Caitlyn Jenner. UFC. Book it, Dana. Fuck it. I'm just saying.
Hey, all jokes aside, we talk a lot, Mr. Woods and I. We talk a lot, Mr. Tan, about the state of MMA, current state of MMA. It seems that MMA is moving towards the entertainment side of things. We're moving away from the how do you say the
purity of the sport.
The noble, I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the competition. All that stuff is going out the window, man. And yeah. I mean, sportsmanship can remain. It can remain, but the honor part of it is going out the window, and I'm not mad at it. Because this is sports entertainment. It's in the title, sports entertainment. Do not expect honor from sports entertainment. Now, what is your take on the sport moving towards sports entertainment? 1, and 2, what advice would you give these up and coming fighters, being that you have experience as a promoter? What would you like to see from an upcoming fighter, and what are the steps to success for these young fighters?
Steps to success. I mean, if it was that easy to lay it out in a podcast, Here's what I've learned in my time there. I mean, to answer your first question, entertainment sports is entertainment, and I feel like it's always, we've always seen that entertainment. We've seen over the past 10, 15, 20 years. The UFC has been around. I'm going to circle around to this point that I wanted to make in a minute. It's been around officially as of today for 27 years. This is the 27th birthday of the UFC. And I have a plug to make towards the end. But addressing your question, entertainment was needed to get this sport off the ground. Not just the theatrical, but that always, the promoting and theatrics and big, larger than life personalities and big talking and the shit talking. That's always been needed throughout all of combat sports. You go back, you go back decades, even a century of combat sports. Pro wrestling, when when it went from being an athletic endeavor in the early 20th century and the 19th century to becoming, more theatrical in the 30s, 40s, 50s, in, people like Gorgeous George. That's what was needed to keep people in there. So, it walks hand in hand with competition. Competition is great, but there's only X amount of the audience that likes competition, that watches competition for the sake of that. The rest of the world needs a little bit more spice, a little bit more flavor to it. You can make a great steak, but it's always better when you season it, right?
Yes.
Where you got some good juices going. You marinate it in something. So there's always going to be a need for that, for better or for worse. Does it go too far? Sometimes it does. Other times you really need it, because otherwise, you might have great fights that nobody sees, or you might have really boring, bad fights, but people get excited about it if there is that theatrics. Case in point, Floyd and Manny, right? So it's a necessary evil, and people have to learn that. Now, as you know, when we were doing our U of MMA shows, I would try to give a little kind of pep talk or put some perspective at the weigh-ins. The one time that I had the chance to talk to all the fighters. Now, you got my message. You didn't need to be told this, but I think for me, the fine line was, because you have fighters that want to be big personalities like you. It just comes naturally. You're comfortable. That's your zone. Other guys don't want that, and they don't know how to do it. They feel even more pressure because they feel the need that they need to do that, and they end up becoming somebody fake, and putting on a character that they can't really speak to truth about that. My belief was that if a fighter can find who they are and just really let themselves be known, be not afraid, be brave enough to show the audience, this is who I am. That's a way of being that showman without having to betray yourself. I think it's the thing that worked for guys like Stone Cold and The Rock. There was something in them that you've heard them talk on interviews. They amplified their personality, right? And I think that applies to MMA and for fighters that are going in there, man, bearing their soul. You're going in there to kick some ass or get your ass kicked. Half naked, bare feet, not even no shoes on, right? That's raw as you get on a public stage, and you're doing it in front of as many people as possible, as the promoter would like. So there is. It doesn't. You don't have to just be Conor McGregor. You don't have to be Tito Ortiz. My editorial aside, please don't be Tito Ortiz. Good God, please. Okay. But that's me. George St. Pierre was incredibly likable because what you saw is what you get. By the same token, Randy Couture, he was him. What you see is what you get. And he wasn't afraid to just show it to audiences, to the crowd, whether it was a live crowd, television, what have you. That's that it factor that I think everybody has. Some people are able to find it. Some people go through life never finding it. So in that regard, sports entertainment, marketing, promoting, characters, talking big, that to me is, you at least start with that and go from there. So that's that. In terms of what I'd like to see, there's two things that I believe in with fighters, because not everybody that steps in the cage is going to go to the top echelon. It's going to be a UFC or Bellator fighter, and that's okay. That was the other thing that I always told people. It's okay to have your match and say, yeah, it's not for me, and walk away from it. This is a great sport at its purest. When you get rid of the politics and the bullshit and all the negativity that comes with it, which, again, it's a necessary evil sometimes because it is a business, and businesses live and die by the bottom dollar. but it's a sport that, again, at its purest, two people competing against each other with just their bodies as weapons. That's fantastic. But it's okay to walk away. Not everybody is cut for it. And that's okay. So what I always tell guys, that thing, there's a movie I saw very recently, and I wanted to shout this out to be sure. I saw recently, but it's a very old film, 1956, I believe. Humphrey Bogart's last film called The Harder They Fall. This thing is fantastic.
Oh.
Yeah. Humphrey Bogart plays an ex-sports writer. He's pretty disgruntled and jaded. He gets brought on by a promoter to help plug the next big thing. The Brock Lesnar, the Giant Silva. That's a bad analogy. Between the Giant Silva. I admit. But this surefire goose to lay golden eggs. He's got the look. He's got the size. But he doesn't have the fight in him. He doesn't have the dog in the fight. So they have to hand pick. They bring him to the U.S. and take him on a tour of, of fighting a bunch of cans. And Humphrey Bogart is in charge of building him up, and convincing the public that, on the way to the championship, this guy is the next great hope, and that the championship fight is going to be a huge thing. And you see the dirty, underhanded side of promoting and of marketing human beings in this sports entertainment arena, proverbially and literally.
Right.
And here's the lesson of it. You'll see it. There are going to be analogies that a lot of fighters, whether they're veteran or they're, first or second amateur match, they're going to see the analogies. If they've studied MMA or boxing at all, they'll see the analogies. And this is a film made in 1956. Wow. So that tells you that the dynamics of these things, are time immemorial. They're just inherent in this world of sports entertainment, in the business of combat sports. And that's something for everyone to keep in mind as kids. I'm old. I'm going to call them kids. As kids are going down the road of, do I want to be a fucking fighter or not? That's a very, for as much as that's a cliche term, it's very valid. And it's something that every fighter has to ask themselves continually, every day at training, after every match, after every challenge, and roadblock, whether they succumb to it, or whether they surmount it. You got to ask yourself, why am I doing this? And tying together this whole, thing in the way that we talked earlier, I didn't want to hate the sport. I didn't want to get jaded about the sport. So I needed a break from it. And I don't regret that. I still have it in my heart. I love what Turi and I and our team did with the U. I love the fighters that have come through it, especially present company included. But there were times for it. You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, right?
That's right.
And if you stay too long, you become that guy. You become that guy that, in other people's eyes, you become somebody that you don't want to be. So I'm happy that I left it, but I also, because I can continue to love it, if that makes any sense, So there's that. The other thing, do your homework. Study the sport, study the history. The Humphrey Bogart movie, case in point. Again, 1956, The Harder They Fall. However, tying it back to Bacon earlier, here's my shameless plug. Get this book, kids. Get this book.
Yeah.
This is, let me try and get the shine away from it. Nope, that ain't working. There you go. Is this legal?
Is this legal?
Today is the 27th birthday of the UFC. This cage fighting thing that we all love and we've been talking about happened 27 years ago for the first time. And it was done by this guy himself, Art Davie, a fun, fast-talking, charming to the end ad salesman at the time based in San Diego, California. He's originally a Brooklyn kid from New York City, and he had this crazy idea for what would happen to how would we find out the ultimate style versus style? What is the best fighting style? And this book here, Is This Legal, is his memoir about creating the first UFC. Props to Horion, props to Big John McCarthy, who was there all the way. Props to Hoyce and Ken and all the guys that were in the tournament. But it's a fascinating book that I had the privilege of doing the PR for it when it came out in 2014.
Yes,
but
I
also,
remember.
yeah, there's a lot of great lessons in there for promoters. Aspiring promoters should read that book because I found this fascinating when I first read it. The challenges that Art was facing as the first guy to do this weird cage fighting thing that nobody had any idea. His challenges were very, they had the same pressure and the same concern and same unsureness as what Turi and I would face a lot when we launched the U, and that's a decade and a half or 2 decades after the sport had been around. So it's a fascinating read. Again, here we go. Is This Legal?
Yeah.
The inside story of the first UFC from the man who created it, Art Davie himself. It's available, by the way. Here's my shameless plug. Proud plug, actually. Go to isthislegalthebook.com, and you can buy it there directly from Art himself. He will sign it for $25. You can buy it just as is, but why would you not have it signed by the guy that gave us this sport?
That's right.
That we all love and have been talking for, however long about, So there you go. That's my short version to answer your question.
Yeah. Well, very, very, very well answered. I love it. What about you, Mr. Woods? What do you think about his answer?
Oh my gosh! I mean, when you throw out names like Art Davie, Ken Shamrock, and I mean Hoyce and Horion Gracie, again, I don't think that I don't know if we would be here if not for them. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, the Gracies have essentially gotten a ton of crap for being like major marketers, and the reason why we don't see prominent sports like catch wrestling or judo in the lexicon of American culture, but we see jiu-jitsu is because of their marketing. But again, uh, the world is not short of it shouldn't be short of good marketers, and that's one thing that they were able to do, and spearheaded by none other than Art Davie or Campbell McLaren, or so
Or Art
again,
Davie.
yeah, or Art Davie. Period. So again, I absolutely love it, and I will probably have that on my Christmas list.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, literally a signed copy from the guy who created the thing I covered. So
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm going to do.
It's it's a fun read, and it's important to know your roots.
That's right.
It's that adage, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much you can learn, and good God, as a disciple or student from a young age of Dave Meltzer, studying the history of this sport is fascinating. Of this or pro wrestling, and they are cousins to each other,
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
yeah, I can't get enough of it.
mhm. I mean, when people study engineering, they study the history of engineering. When they study medicine, they study the
Mm,
history of medicine. They go back in time and learn the beginnings up until the present date. Uh, Fighters can do the same thing too, man. And this book is the perfect manual to teach you the ins and out of the sport so you know how to manage yourself and do things the right way, and and also one more thing in regards to speaking and being comfortable speaking. I know a lot of Brazilians who spoke terrible English, but they worked at it and improved
mhm.
their English. Now, Rafael dos Anjos, for example, when he first started, his English was garbage. Now look at him. We can actually understand what he's saying. So if you're an American and the sport itself, the number one language is English. What is your excuse? You have no excuse, because all these foreigners, they're coming in here and they're doing what they're doing twice and three times the work. You know what I mean? To become proficient on the mic.
Mm-hmm.
You speak English. You're born speaking English. What is the problem? What is the problem? If you need to stand in front of a mirror and practice in front of a mirror, get it going. If you need to go take a course, some acting course, go get it going. This is your profession. Get good at it. Learn to love the mic.
Combat sports and anything where you're selling yourself as an individual, you are your own brand. And shout out to the guy that brought me into this sport, Jeremy Lappin. He said, nobody has a more vested interest in your brand than you.
That's right.
And you're absolutely right. RDA, Anderson Silva came to mind. He's another great example. He relied on Ed Suarez for translation, even when he was learning English. That fool understood. But now he has no problem with interviews, and people have known him for many, many years as a guy that you could interview in English, and his charm comes through by the same token in English as well as in Portuguese. So if you're going to invest yourself in putting yourself in the spotlight, you got to build yourself up all around, mentally, physically, emotionally, and dealing with the pressure. That's where a lot of people will just offhandedly say having a character. Well, maybe just know your persona, and don't be afraid to show your persona. Probably a more gentle way of doing it. More, allows more people to feel like there's a bigger tunnel to go through, and it's not just this narrow lane. I must be this. No, you can be this. This. So yeah.
Another thing that really irks me is these people, these fighters, they work so hard, train months and months and months, and then they win. And then the mic is in their face, and then they're being asked, so what would you like to do next? Oh, I need to talk to my manager and get their permit. What do you mean you need to talk to your manager? Why didn't you talk to your manager prior to winning this match so you could have something to say? Because millions of people are watching you right now. You know what I mean? You're gonna talk to your manager, and then this leads me to someone that we all know, Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier just got dissed this past week. He got dissed. Why? Because he does the same thing. Oh, I need to go home to my family. I need to go home to my family, and I need to talk to my wife and see my daughter and all this and that and that. That dang on man, you know what I mean, man? I tell you what, boy, you know what I mean? I tell you what.
Sounds like Boomhauer.
Come on, man. You can't be top 3 in the world and not have a plan. Because he didn't have a plan, now they're talking about Justin Gaethje might get the fight against Conor. Or, after he won his last match against whoever it was, why didn't he say, or he beat down the Hangman Hooker? Why didn't he say, hey, man, I'll take Khabib. And if Khabib is not ready, I'll take Conor McGregor. Blah. I got to go home and I got to see what. How do you feel about that?
Well, didn't the Poirier match get made official today anyway?
Is it finally official?
I believe it's official.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it should have been official from get-go, is what I'm saying,
Yeah, that's Poirier. And, I may be talking out of both sides of my mouth saying that you got to be brave to show your personality. But, if your personality is boring, then it's boring. It is what it is. Or to say that, the UFC doesn't have stars. And I'm not at all saying Poirier is boring. I don't actually know the interview you're talking about, but I get the prototype you're talking about. Absolutely. Well, I just want to rest up, and maybe guys could use some lessons on post-fight interviews. You never had a problem. You were out there having fun, and maybe the lesson is that when you win, that's your chance to have fun and talk some shit, some guys are not comfortable with doing that. And that reflects in where, on the opportunities that they get, you learn Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you want to talk shit? If you got the skills to talk shit, go ahead and talk shit.
Agreed.
But on the basic level, have a plan. On a basic level, okay? I mean,
even if there's a little cue card that your cornerman hand be like, here, read this.
Exactly. Get it from your cornerman. Give it to your cornerman. When you win, get it back from your cornerman and read from the card. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Read from the card. As long as you get your point across, that's all that matters. You can't ever go there and miss that opportunity, because who knows when you're going to win again. Because if you don't win, the mic is never going to be there.
Be like, boy, sister, you not get this, you no get this.
Fighters, if we'd have gone on, if we'd have run more U shows, I'm sure we would have cut your interviews as sample tape to your post fights as samples. Here's one way of doing it, and there's nothing saying you can't have fun with it.
No, nothing at all.
Yeah, it's an acquired taste. There's a huge difference in post-fight interview between somebody like Pius Lobo and Randy Couture, who had his own charm and charisma in doing things his own way. Some guys aren't made out for it. The thing I'd love to see more than anything else, and someday I want to offer money to a fighter to do this, is for them to win and praise Satan, the Dark Lord, for victory. And bringing victory in the spirit of the fallen angels everywhere. And
you're talking about Christopher Daniels, right?
Well, if the guy would fight, I'd offer him some money to do that. Well, at least in the UFC, I'd like to see that.
Well, I mean, Scorpio Sky. Speaking of SoCal Uncensored, Scorpio Sky was a U of MMA veteran.
That's right. Shout out to Scorpio. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't think of that before that. And I really don't think he would do it either. We had some conversations. That brother is wired in the way that he is. I'm not going to mess with that. That's why, I can't call Dominic Reyes about this one, because he'll look at me like I'm an idiot.
But Jim Carrey did it, right? His VMA, he won like 3 VMAs. He was like, this one's for God, this one's for God, this one's for Satan. I think I'm good.
Well, you expect comedy from Jim Carrey.
Yeah, and Biden impressions. That's definitely it. Jim Carrey's 2020 Biden impression is essentially Fire Marshal Bill of 1992.
God, I hope that turns out to be Joe Biden of 2021. The Fire Marshal Bill, not the Jim Carrey. Let me clarify that. Why? By the way, I like the Jim Carrey. Joe Biden should be aiming for the Jim Carrey impression, not for Fire Marshal Bill. I don't want to give the wrong impression here.
All right, Natalie and Brulia. Fucking don't want to leave you there. Calling out. Just saying. But folks, this has been Voodoo in the Woods with the honorable Jay Tan. Jay, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on the big 3: Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at JayTan716. My full name, JAYTAN 716.
What? 716 is part of your name?
Wow. You know what? There's a story to that, actually. That's that was the birthday as well as the area code where I grew up. Rochester, New York. Shout out to Nick Tajos. But when these were back in the days of AOL. The kids don't know what I'm talking about. Exactly. When you would have those.
You used to get those on CompUSA by the stacks for 15 minutes of free internet time. I used to get that and that zero and just swap them out. But anyway.
That was in the day that you didn't need to worry so much about cybersecurity, and you could just throw your birthday at the end of your name. And I realized my birthday and my hometown. That's kind of a coincidence. So and I've stuck with it.
That's right. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yep.
Voodoo, where can they find you on social media?
Just like Mr. Terrence said on the big three, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Oh, and also YouTube. Voodoo Maximus. Voodoo Maximus. All day, every day. Oh, by the way, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Share with your family members and your homies. Oh, yeah. Share, like, and subscribe all day.
That
Dang
must be a
right.
t-shirt by now. Share, like, and subscribe.
That's
Something
right.
like that. I mean, it's better than rub and tug and whatever the fucking third acronym is.
But I
Whatever.
would still have the arrow pointing down. Share,
Yeah.
like, and subscribe.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm gonna fucking do. I'm not even gonna be according to what's the next one. I'm gonna be like, share, or share, like, and subscribe. Yes, that's it.
In
There you
those
go.
order.
Just saying, it's a marketing genius that is J-Tan. But thank you guys for joining us here at Voodoo in the Woods, and we will see you on Sunday with a post kind of mortem breakdown of the events of Saturday night. But this has been Voodoo Woods with According to Woods, and you might want to check out me and George Formosa in a couple minutes. So check that out. So we're Voodoo in the Woods, and we are out.